it's a little hard to back up anything or to follow, actually, what Jeff offered us this morning in his reflection. And so I just have a few things that I would like to add. I would like to note, first of all, that our gospel story today is very clear. That Jesus and the God of Jesus is a God of life and of the living. That anything that causes us death, especially spiritual death or a death in faith, is not of God. And it's important to note that very one spiritual truth on this day that we celebrate as Open and Affirming Sunday. Now, what I would like to offer you this morning, I may be preaching a bit to the choir since you are here. But I think that it's important to recognize the amazing thing that this congregation has done. While the United Church of Christ has been on the side of rights for pretty much everybody since its inception, the United Church of Christ has been on the front of justice. The first to ordain a black person, the first to ordain a gay person. The United Church of Christ has always been this church. But the beauty of the United Church of Christ, as well as the pain, is that it is congregational. That the national church speaks to the churches but not for them, which means that each congregation can basically do its own thing. And this is important today for us to understand why this movement towards an open and affirming covenant is so important. Now, when we announced that we were going to celebrate the covenant today, that we were going to honor Open and Affirming Sunday, you might not imagine, but I received some phone calls from good, faithful people. And the questions were not uncommon. They're questions I hear in every Open and Affirming congregation I've ever been in, which is, what's the big deal? We're open. We welcome people. Yeah. And you know that. And how in good earth is anybody else supposed to know that? Because you see, if you are a person with a letter, right? If you are LGBTQ whatever, because there's a lot of letters, which is a beautiful thing, rainbow, right? Remember the rainbow? You can never assume that a church, and especially a Christian church, is going to be a place of life and of the living for you. Because I have yet to meet a person with a different, non-heteronormal sexual identity who has not been brutally abused inside a Christian church, who has not been told that they are evil and abhorrent, that they are going to hell, that they should be filled with shame. This happens in Christian churches every Sunday, and it happens in United Church of Christ churches too. And so when we say, well, why do we have to tell, we already are, why do we have to make such a big deal? I say two things. Again, you know that, but how is this community supposed to know that we are a beacon of safety for people with different gender expressions if we don't tell them we are? If we don't show them that we are? Some people are horribly upset at the concept of even having a rainbow symbol reflected on the Open and Affirming banner out front. We don't need to do that. Really? I've lived in this community all my adult life. I had no idea this congregation was open and affirming. There's nothing to tell us that if we are not already inside these walls. So the one reason we do this is to announce to the community who we are. And my friends, who we are is not only important, it is unique. Because again, we can't just go anywhere. to feel the love and the welcome, the extravagant welcome that we know to be Jesus. And the other thing that's important about this, and this one is for us who are already here, is you'll notice that we do not say open and welcoming. We say open and affirming. We don't say open and accepting. We say open and affirming. And my friends, that language is so important. Because what it tells others and what it reminds us of every time is that we don't just open our doors and say, yeah, you can come in, but please sit quietly. Please don't make us too uncomfortable. Please don't show too much of all of that. What we say is, not only do we welcome you, not only do we accept you for who you are, but we say we affirm you. We affirm you. That means that we recognize that you too, all of us, no matter what our sexual identity is, our sexual expression is, that we believe that all of us are made in the image and likeness of God, and we affirm that truth. We affirm that when you walk in this door, you too are holy. When you walk in this door, you too are sacred. When you walk in this door, you too are as good as we are and as bad as we are. We don't just say, welcome, come in, sit down, and please be quiet. We say, welcome, come in, sit down, and share your lives with us the way that we share our lives already with each other. That's what it means to be affirming. And that's why it's so darn hard. And that's why not everybody does it. The prayer that we said today, welcome without affirmation, becomes an empty promise. What we are trying to do in this congregation is live up to the promise and to respond to all the good gifts that we've been given. And you know what? Here's the truth. It's okay if you're a little uncomfortable. It is. Spirit never makes us comfortable, right? It's okay. It's okay that we have questions. It's okay that we might not even completely understand, as long as we remember that the other is always made in the image and likeness of God, and that there's a gift there that we can have access to if we allow it, in the same way that we are all gift to each other. Let's be proud of living the gospel in this way. There are very few places for people with minority sexual expression and identity to go to feel the love and the forgiveness of God. Too few places. Let's embrace what it is we say we are. Let's live into who we say we are. It will do nothing but good things for us. And my friends, it literally can save a life or two. I had a conversation, one last little story, I had a conversation when I was at the Pride event with a friend of mine who was non-binary. Don't know what that means, go look it up later, we don't have time for that. However, this person has not stepped foot inside of a church since they were 15. They are now close to 30. And the reason they haven't stepped foot inside of a church is because they have been brutally hurt by the church. What would Jesus do? What would Jesus want us to do? How are we supposed to respond to that kind of spiritual pain in the world? This is a start. This is where we start. Even if we're confused and even if we don't understand it, even if we're not completely clear, we say, come in, join us, teach us, let us learn from each other. And let us become the community of God, the rainbow of all people that God intended this congregation to be. Because that's who we are called to be. So let's struggle through it. Let's open our arms and our hearts wide and take on the work of being Jesus in the world. Because it looks like this. And it's good. It's good work. And we're up to it. We're big enough to do it. Our souls can handle it.